Hi, thank you for spending part of your day with us today. I'm Luann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman, a certified financial planner at Heckman Financial. If you have your retirement savings in a tax deferred account, you need to be aware of some new retirement plans that have changed the way you need to think about those accounts. We had the Secure Act and then the Secure Act 2.0. Those new rules could have an even bigger impact on people with balances of over $250,000. So, Eric, these changes don't just impact retirees, but also future generations who stand to inherit these accounts, don't they?
Yeah, so I mean, the if you think about the types of money that there are, there's just regular money, right? Savings accounts, brokerage accounts. Those have cost basis and gains, not savings, it's just of interest, right?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and then you've got tax-free stuff, which is great. Stuff like Roth IRAs, especially design life insurance, things like that. But the one that most people have most of their money in, hands down, is the tax deferred bucket, and that tax deferred bucket is IRA, 401k, 403b, 457. These are all different plans, but they all have the same exact rules. You said, "Don't tax me now, tax me later," and we all were under the misguided or whatever you want to call it, Pollyanna-ish belief that we're going to be retiring in a lower tax bracket.
Mhm.
Well, you have no write-offs, you have no other things that are coming out, and now you've got all taxable income, and so it can be really brutal. They had one client that, when he first retired, he came to me right when he was 70, and this is back when, that was when you had to take the money out, and, the first year, he was getting really good Social Security, but those IRA withdrawals then started jacking up his tax on his Social Security, and so he went from 14,000 of his Social Security being taxed to 53,000 the next year to 75,000.
Oh my goodness.
His Social Security benefit went up 3 grand over that time frame,
Oh,
but his taxable income went up by $60,000.
oh.
And why is that? Because he was taking money out of his retirement plans. So
Mhm.
that's something that people really ever talk about or mention.
Yeah.
Then there's also that evil thing called Irma. Sounds like a nice old lady.
Aunt
But there's
Irma. Yeah.
Aunt Irma, yeah. But she's not, not in this case. Sorry to any other Irmas out there, but so yeah, Irma is this thing where it's supposedly not a tax, but it basically starts your Medicare premiums, your Part B and Part D going up, and they can go up to 400% higher premium because of how much money you made.
Oh my
And
goodness.
again, that's not something that anybody talks about. And so what did the government do? Well, the first they moved it to 72 from 70 and a half when you had to take money out of your retirement account.
Mhm.
Then they came out with Secure Act 2.0, as you mentioned, and that one made it even more confusing because now if you're born before 1960, it's 73.
Right.
If you're born after 1960, it's 75,
Right.
or 1960 and later, I should say.
Right.
And so what happened there is the government accounting office, when they did the first one, they said that the government would make about 15% more money. So this is not a change for you. This is a change for the IRS.
Yeah, so many people think, "Oh, that's so nice."
Yeah, the longer you let the money defer, guess what? The tax bill gets bigger
Yeah,
and bigger and bigger.
right.
They know you can do better with your money than they can, so they want you to invest it, do well with it,
Mhm.
and pay more tax, right? And so it's like, well, thank you, I guess,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah,
and then so you're all of a sudden now 73, 75 years old. You're maybe at the highest tax you've ever been at.
yeah.
I mean, I did analysis with one client that's done very well, saved up tons of money in their retirement accounts, but they're in their mid 60s now at age 75, and they're born after 1959. Um, their tax bracket for 75 they'll be in the 32% bracket. And right now they're in the 22.
Oh, no.
So
Oh, no.
retiring in the lower bracket, th- yeah, that's not accurate.
Right, right.
And then also, when the next generation gets this money, they used to be able to stretch this money out over 20, 30, 40 years. Now you get 10 years to spend it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, how old are I mean, a lot of people are in their 50s when they're losing their parents
Mhm.
often nowadays,
Yes.
and maybe 60s, but when they of all of a sudden your peak earning years, and then all of a sudden you have to take this money out, and say you inherit, $1 million out of an IRA. That's wonderful, right?
Yeah.
Except for now you get $100,000 of extra income for 10 years,
Yeah.
and that's on top of your normal money.
Hmm.
So that's a lot of that's a lot of tax bracket.
Yeah.
And so that's the part that people just don't get. They're not thinking about this. They're not trying to figure out how to solve the problem.
Hmm.
Now, as a financial planner, the best thing about this is it has figured out a way for us to give more time to fix some of these things, by moving it up to 73 or 75. So there is more times to fix it. But, again, that's why people want to visit with us and talk with us because it is a really critical time. If you've done very well, especially if you got more than 1,000,000 in retirement accounts, you better be doing some planning or else Uncle Sam's gonna be, very thankful.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
and,
Yeah.
not
Nobody
for
wants.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody wants
Yeah,
to pay a
so
hefty tax bill, to their loved ones
no.
at all. Yeah.
Well, or have it throughout their life and then leave another tax bill behind, so
Yep.
it could be a couple decade issue, so,
Right. Right.
so there are ways to fix this, but again, that's where people might wanna set up a time to talk with us, so, easiest way to do that is just text the word "visit" to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word "visit" 800-454-1184, or book directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And thank you for joining us. You are listening to Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer. And Eric, you've mentioned before, one way to, help with the taxes being passed down to loved ones would be converting your assets to Roth IRAs. That does mean paying taxes at the time of conversion. But talk about that, how you explain to people about strategies like this to possibly lower their tax bill.
Yeah, it's kinda like exercise or dieting, right, and stuff, eating
True.
right,
Yeah.
this stuff you should do it, it's not as fun, it's not
Mhm.
as, exciting, right,
Yeah. Right.
but it's good for you, and
Yes.
same thing here, paying your taxes early by doing a Roth conversion, so what that basically means is you said and we're not talking huge ones. Most of my clients, it's 20, 30, 40, 50,000, 60,000. It's
Mhm.
rare that we've ever done over 100,000 because you jump up into higher tax brackets.
Yes. Yes.
So you don't want to. I mean, I met with somebody one time where he did a $500,000 conversion. I was like, why? you know, you're in like the worst bracket you could ever be in. You could have done that over 3 years and
Yeah.
cut your tax probably in half.
Yeah.
So you don't wanna go crazy about it, but, what you do wanna do is slowly convert some over to fill up that bucket. So think of your taxes as a bucket, and if it's, 2/3 full before you jump to that next number, let's get that 1/3 filled up. And so really that's what we're talking about here is doing some conversions as much as you can before you start paying too much tax. And it's not gonna solve the problem, but it's gonna pretty much stunt the growth, right? It's gonna lower it down so that's one way to move that money from taxable to tax free. Now, how does that help you? Because sometimes your kids are going to get something, so they should be smiling, right? Yeah. So how a Roth conversion helps you is this means you're not going to have to pay as much required minimum distribution, which means you pay less tax. You might have less IRMA, which means you pay less Medicare penalties. There's just lots of benefits to you. And then also to your kids, that money goes to them tax free. They still have to take it out after 10 years, but there's no tax. So, who cares, right? so that again, that's why you want to have an actual plan. That's why you want to have, really some strategies. So, if you want to set up a 15 to 30-minute phone call with me, Eric Heckman, and we can just go over what kind of worries, what kind of concerns you have, and then we can see if we want to do the blueprint to do that income plan, figure out that analysis. All you got to do is text the word visit to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word visit 800-454-1184, or book directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Our conversation continues about how to manage future tax exposures on Wealth Creator Radio. More with Eric coming up.